Howdy, howdy. FrostyFire10 here. Welcome to Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and this is a revisit of the game in 2024, and I just want to talk about, the whole thing, really. Quickly. I'll try to be quick. So Tiny Tina's Wonderland, it was kind of based on the DLC, which added the Wonderlands, the original D&D, Dungeons and Dragons version, where Tina was the game master and she, changed the world as she saw fit and created a story around it. And this is the entire game based on that concept. And let's just jump in. Continue, it's fine. So, following Borderlands 3's divisive storytelling, or lack thereof, lack of quality storytelling, I think you could say, but still solid gameplay mechanics. There's a bit of expectations around Gearbox and their ability to deliver full quality products, and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands kind of stretched it, especially with its DLC. So its DLC being received so poorly because it was just so small in comparison to the previous game's DLC was a big aspect of the dislike around the game. But it was definitely more about a story more focused on Tiny Tina and her emotional development and feelings, and it being retroactive in terms of it was in the past. Kind of like the prequel, not that far back though. But for the most part, it's another looter shooter Borderlands game. It's pretty simple. The core mechanics are strong. They added to them. So we've got your basic guns. We've got a few things. We've got ice stuff. Throwing guns. And then we got spells. So spells were the big addition, and really the only meaningful addition, to be perfectly honest. You did have a system where you collected dice to increase your luck so you get higher drops. So one of the things they did that, another issue with the game, let's just finish these ones off. Was that they tied the rarity of loot drops with luck progression. That's probably one way to describe it, as luck progression. So you would get the rare items much later in the game. What have we got here? So one of the things you ended up having to do was read the details a lot, particularly when it comes to spells. So spells, for me, were the best part about Tiny Tina's Wonderland. So if I were to recommend you to play the game, it would be on the back of use spells. So this is Colliding Eruption of Luck. It has damage there. Cooldown is 14.8. So this is a single spell. Repeating cast. Hold to cast repeatedly. So it's going to be circles, big circle explosions of toxic. Just going bang, 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 and then cooldown. So that's trash. I don't want to use that. So there was a lot of detail with the overworld. All the collectibles in the game contributed to progress, so you could actually have tangible benefits that go across, that benefit your character. So you could collect all the lucky dice, get the luck up. You could collect all the pages, you get a whole bunch of different bonuses. So let me show you the world map. Okay, so we have the full world. We did have a number of different areas that actually look good. I think one of the great thing about the game is that it does look great. It's just that I think the overworld really put people off. The promise of Dungeons and Dragons elements and the under-delivering of those elements, I think, is the other aspect as well, because it really does under-deliver when it comes to modifiers in the basic game and story progression. Later on, you get a whole bunch with this dungeon system where you go through random rooms. Oh look, we got a purple thing. there's a lot of stat reading. I feel like even more than the previous games, you do have to check all of your stats, make sure everything is exactly what you want it to be. And I'm max level, but I don't know if they raised the level cap since I stopped playing, so let's just keep going. I want to turn the sound down so I can talk to you a bit more. Let's just go with master. Down to 70 sounds about right. There were sort of faint murmurings about the characterizations and things. Oh, that wasn't a big deal. The story is, overall, it's not a bad story. It's just not as powerful as, say, Borderlands 2, which I think is kind of the peak of where Borderlands is hit. And then you say, free sequel, maybe. But yeah, it's really the highs of Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 1 to a slightly lesser extent. They kind of drag everything, it puts the pressure on everything else. So Borderlands 3 is just way worse by comparison, and then this is even worse by comparison as well. So comparison being the thief of joy as always, but having said that, it's not unreasonable. We do have various elemental advantages and disadvantages with terms of the types of enemies. So skeletons are weak to... what are they weak to again? I can't even remember. Poison. Come on. Ice. I think it's ice, isn't it? Yeah. Ice is generally good against everything. Let me have a look at the... I can show you the... Okay, so I got my shrine buffs top right corner, so you can see all the buffs I've got for collecting things. So I've collected huge amounts of stuff. So I've got 10 plus crit damage, 10 plus experience gain, gold gain, overworld movement speed, moon orb gain, and then I've got my stat buffs. So I've got strength, dexterity, intelligence, constitution, wisdom, achievement. You do have a stat system at the start when you create your character, but I don't feel like it's that big a deal, to be perfectly honest. It is, again, your ability to manage your skills and enemy positioning and not get shot in the face too much, and your shields and all that sort of stuff. All the basics of Borderlands still maintain relevance, but having said that, spells are great. Use spells. I'm sort of revving it. You do get the skill trees. You can mix and match these class abilities. So you can change. So it really... No, I feel like it does disincentivize making new characters, and it at launch it was particularly bad because you had to collect the lucky dice again, which there's, you know, hundreds. So it really did make you... It felt like you were being punished if you made a second character and had to do all of the grinding again. So they did make them overlapping progression when it comes to the collectibles later on, and by then I was just done. I only played through... I have 2 characters, and this is the only one that's got to max level. The other one barely got anywhere. It's one of the big problems with the game, compared to the previous titles where I play every single character, because they're so unique. Here you can choose your class, and you can mix and match, and you can change it later. So it doesn't, you know, it's not like the other games where I play all 4 of them and get them all to max level, and then they'd be so different and you have different experiences. Here it's just one tailor-made, really. You choose what you like and then you're done. But you can go to the final progression area. So what I focused on is intelligence to get spell cooldown, and that's all I care about. Spell cooldown, and then you'll just max everything else here. I've just got a bunch of stuff. Get some health, get some status damage, get some crit damage, crit chance. Nothing too crazy. We do have myth rank, which they've added. Oh yeah, which is where you focus on the things you like. And I've got... it's a whole circle thing, so there's a whole bunch. So I've got a whole heap of additions, and they just slowly build up until eventually they become impactful. Alright. Yeah, let's shoot some dudes for a second. Oh, and we do have the... You have melee? But you could do more with it, because you could get swords and axes, and it could be a little more dynamic than in previous games. We do have the higher tier drops, so like there's Can you stop? So we had the volatile, and we do have a final tier above that. So there's a tier before that as well. I think it's chaotic. Yeah, chaotic, volatile, and there's one more. So that's just for endgame stuff though. So it's nothing too crazy. Yeah, underwhelming DLC being these level systems, which is tied into the endgame dungeon thing, which is kind of like a roguelike experience. It's not quite the same though. So you do have modifiers that you can choose to opt in to have more if you want to get more rewards. We do have the main hub area, which is actually really nice. If anything, it is weak thematically. And the D&D elements, because it's a setup story, a linear story, it does take away a lot of the flexibility of a D&D campaign would have, where you could have things vary up, and that could make the game much more enduring to time. But it's just not that way, and Gearbox aren't going to do that, which is a shame, because if they did, they do have solid gameplay mechanics that they've refined over time, that it may be worthwhile to experiment on that sort of direction, but they just don't. They just don't. But using spells, playing through the campaign, I had a good time. I do, because again, it's Borderlands. It's more Borderlands, is really how I described it in my review back when I made it. That it's look, there's Butt Stallion. Yeah, I feel like showing you the end game is probably not the right thing to do, but I'll probably do it anyway. Oh, I want to show you the overworld. Let's do that. Yep. Can I go? So the Chaos Chamber is the end game. It's like a endless sort of dungeon thing. It kind of, not endless, but it's like a roguelike progression. But not, because you still have your same stuff and your same kit, and you will hit damage roadblocks. But here is the overworld, where you run around, hit enemies, start combat, enter areas, collect their special thingies, open the doors. It's kind of like a really basic board game. It's nothing too complex. Can I remember how to hit things? I can't remember how to hit things. Great. Come on. That's it. Okay. See? Music is quite weak, I'll be honest. I think music is one of the weaker aspects of the game. And really, I do feel as though the stylistic direction doesn't work in the overworld. It works fine, I think, in-game it's okay. And some of the areas look really nice. Underwater areas look really good when you drain the water out. But the overworld actually doesn't look that great. It's just very bright. I'll run over to the water zone, because it's so cool. And the music isn't good. It's not terrible, it's just not anything memorable. Which is kind of what you want to do with music. If you can, of course. There's a number of little dungeons you could enter, and then you have them cleared. I don't want to enter them ever again. A lot of stuff you do once and you never do again. And that's kind of how I feel about the game in total, is that it's a game I'll play once, and if I wasn't going to make a video talking about it, I would never reinstall it. The additional content was just totally unsatisfactory, and I bought the full edition. So I did buy the all the bells and whistles on the back of playing so much of Borderlands 3, playing so much of Borderlands 2, Borderlands 1. Let's just go here because it looks cool. So I had high expectations, and I think a lot of other people did too, but it hurt. It's a game that definitely much better, cheaper, but at the same time it's still not an amazing game, not an excellent game. It's okay, it's good, but yeah, it doesn't The thing with the spells is you need to know everything about spells. You need to know everything about the spells. Because some things just don't matter. Like, these spells are absolute trash. Sure, because, again, you need to know the wordage. But the spells are good. I'll show you some other ones. Let's show you inventory. We've got Practice Arcane Bolt is absolute spam. We've got the Buffmaster. Buffmaster is really popular. We've got Snake Stick. We've got Arcane Bolt. We've got the Cursed Wit. Oh, that's some good stuff there. Okay, I'll save them, because if I show you all the spells, you won't want to even give the game a go. Maybe. Why have we got... Oh, yeah, and we do have the different...
Casting spells and loading shells.
You can change your voice of your character, which is good. So the customization of your character is a nice thing in the game, honestly. But, I don't know. It's hard to say it matters, because the characters that matter aren't you. It's Tina and the bad guy. And you're a, you know, random goon just doing stuff. Ba-da-ba-da-ba.
This one fancies itself a fearsome brute.
And you get your badass enemies, your big enemies, all that sort of stuff. So I'm just stacking status effects. And then just doing my unlimited power. I feel like there's not really much more to talk about. It's not the most complex game by any measure. You do want to collect the collectibles if you want to become really powerful. You will feel the lacking good quality drops of weapons for a long time before you get your luck high enough to actually get good stuff. Which can feel not good. That it holds back so much of what's the normal part of Borderlands of getting good weapons, getting good stuff. Holds it all back. You just get less, like, lots of white weapons, blue weapons. And you put so much effort in just to get good weapons to drop later on. So we got volatile. And there's a lot of reading of things. It is really... fire damage. I don't need fire damage, we'll be fine. Okay, I'm seriously done. It's fine. One of the things that they did, though, with the endgame was they kept adding levels to it. So it started off with, I think it was 10 levels, and then ended up with like 50. And the problem with that was I was only going to play co-op with other people once I reached 50. Or the highest level at the time, which was like 20, and then 30, and then went to 40, and then to 50. And then I just was always chasing my tail trying to get there, because I didn't want to play with other people and not be able to progress with them, because I wasn't up to where they were up to. So I never played co-op with other people, which I think would have helped. But having said that, I've had, you know, co-op experiences in Borderlands 3 where the latency and things weren't great, and there was this constant bug. It was just horrific at launch. But then I've had some better things later. But that said, this game had problems at launch as well. So it did have this bug, annoying bug, that just kept popping up. And it had a number of issues, just little annoyances that it did clean up. I don't know. I'm rabbiting on. Why am I rabbiting on? So is the game better now? It works. It always worked. It just had little tiny issues. Those tiny issues are gone. But having said that, jumping back in, I really feel no motivation whatsoever to continue playing. That said, if you never played it, I think it's worthwhile to play it. If it's like cheap or free and you see it, I think it's worthwhile to go through. Whether it holds your attention to get you through, I'm not sure. Like, I'm a huge fan of the series, so I, wanted to buy in, and I, bought in literally with the full edition and all that. And I don't know. I feel like it's a missed potential sort of thing, because the magic could have been more of a focus. They could have ditched the guns completely, in my mind, because the gunplay feels, again, just like other Borderlands games. So that's why I focus so much on spells, trying to get feel that difference. So if you didn't use the spells much and you used your character's ability and just focused on guns, I think you'd have a totally different experience, and it'd be even lesser. It'd be like really less. So I made an effort to try and make the game better. Look, there's Tina in the background. All the story elements where they talk about what's going on and they change the world accordingly to, that stuff's good. But I do feel like rebuilding this entire game to make it an actual freewheeling D&D type experience, I think would have been epic. But again, they're not going to do that, or not capable of such a thing. Which is, it's what it is. But yeah, enemies are okay, they're interesting enough, but it's really more about the crux of the story and the way it's delivered. It has some moments that are good. I think the water part's awesome. I don't know. It just feels like more Borderlands. And it's, yeah, probably going to be forgotten. Whether they make a new one, I'm not sure. They're doing some studio stuff at the minute, but I imagine they will. Whether it's just more planets, like a Borderlands 3, but with different planets, or they reinvest into a single planet and just add diversity onto that one planet, like Borderlands 2. Or they have say like a moon thing. I don't mind the moon thing. You can always add a moon. That's fine. But player freedom is going to be the question in my mind, and a lot to do with how the main character, which is you, how you have ownership in the world and how you get decisions that matter and how you can actually play a part. Because in Borderlands 3, you're a passenger. And it was disappointing to be so powerless in a game where you're become the most powerful and you just shoot everything. And the fact you can solve everything with your guns. Every issue in the entire game can be solved with you shooting it in the face. It's kind of like, it's an afterthought though, because so much of the story is talked around that not being the case. And it's kind of odd. It is odd. Like, the story is disconnected completely from the gameplay, rather than being in service to it. It's kind of, yeah, in competition, which is totally wrong. So here they could have just done so much more creativity, so much more variability, really, and sort of an incentive to play second characters, because the story would unfold completely differently, which again would have taken more effort, and it's just not going to be the case. So yeah, I do lament what it could have been, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, but when I focus on all spells, I did go endgame stuff, 29 or something level or something. I hit the roadblock of this one boss who just kept regenerating their shield and health, and I just didn't have enough damage for it, because I was, again, waiting for the right drops to switch up my weapons to the higher tier versions, and I just didn't get what I needed. So I was just stuck in an endless loop, and that's kind of where I stopped. But yeah. So what do you think? Did you play Tiny Tina's Wonderland? Did you avoid it? What do you reckon of the game? Do you think it's worthwhile? Is it a forgotten? It's just more Borderlands, but that's kind of it. I mean, the DLC, they just did a couple of level edition things, and they can piss off, really. That was a bit of a rot, and very disappointing compared to the previous game's DLC. So it's quite, I don't know how it even got any attention though. That the DLCs were bad was surprising to me, because the game really did sort of, not really pick up any attention. It was only negative later on, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, it didn't capture the hearts and minds. Tina herself isn't an appealing enough character. I think maybe you could say that's the case. I mean, the proof is in the pudding here, but yeah, I think the fact was in the past, not in the present or the future, and wasn't in terms of the overarching Borderlands, it sort of adds a little bit of emotional depth with Tina's character, but whether that is in service to the greater Borderlands story, you could argue probably not. Yeah. That's my thoughts, and I showed some gameplay and revisited the game, and I want to uninstall it now, so I'm done. It's been FrostyFire10. Like and subscribe if you're interested in playing the game. Check it out for yourself. Yeah, I do recommend spells. Apart from that, just take it casual. Don't be too worried about it. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. What could have been? See ya.